You wanna know something I wish I had known earlier? I wish I had understood the value in intentionally doing hard things. We've all been told to do something difficult or to expand our skills or get uncomfortable because that's how we grow. And that's absolutely true, but have you ever thought about intentionally setting yourself up for those opportunities for growth and intentionally putting on that discomfort just to watch yourself squirm a little bit? When you think about the opportunity to create a safe space where we can lean into the discomfort and do this at a time when the consequences really aren't that great, it's still a space for us to not feel like we know what we're doing and to kind of explore how to navigate without anything bad happening. Nobody's going to die, nobody's going to lose their job. It's just going to be a space for us to try new things so that when we're presented with the opportunity to try new things and get uncomfortable, where the consequences might matter, we are more likely to be successful. We are more likely to navigate that in a way that contributes to the success of the outcome. When I look back, I recognize that I've done this. I've pushed myself outside of my comfort zone without really realizing, why the heck did I do that? But when I think back on it, I actually did explore discomfort and applied what I learned to other areas of my life, especially professional areas of my life. One place where I pushed myself to get physically uncomfortable was the first time that I completed an ultra marathon. When I signed up for that ultra marathon, I had no business signing up for an ultra marathon. I was not an elite athlete. I was really not a runner in my childhood, but I pushed myself to do something that was beyond my current skill. And what I learned inside of that is, what does it feel like when my mind is telling me to quit? And how will I do all the training in order to prevent myself from quitting and get myself over the finish line on race day? Think about the worst thing that could have happened. I could have perhaps got injured, which I didn't. Or second would be, I wouldn't make it. I would fall flat and I wouldn't be able to finish the race. That's the worst thing that could have happened. But meanwhile, I was able to gain some skills and apply them to other areas of my life, specifically the consistent training to get to an end result over the finish line in my case, and then also to continue to keep going when we don't feel like going anymore. Halfway through that race, I would have happily landed at the finish line and not have to continue, but I didn't. I kept going and I learned how to now keep going in other areas of my life. The second example is one where I pushed myself mentally. And certainly when I signed up for this trip, I did not realize the mental extent of my growth and my learning and the discomfort inside of this experience. A few years ago, I set myself up for a trip to Bali where I completed 7 days of a silent meditation retreat. No talking to anyone for 7 days. 7 full days of no communication with anyone locally or present there with me. 7 days of not communicating even virtually or remotely to my family back home. That was difficult. It was challenging. Even though I'm an introvert, I knew that I could handle a little bit of silence. I didn't realize how difficult it would be to have that much silence and to lack that type of human connection and communication, and to sit with my thoughts and just sheer quiet for 7 full days. In this case, I learned how to really push myself in a spot of discomfort where there was nobody to ask. I had to navigate it on my own and get really comfortable with the quiet and the stillness. The third one, at this point, I was starting to learn a little bit more in my age and recognize that we could create spaces to do these types of things and to have these opportunities to really learn and grow. And that was with the video per day experiment. A few years ago, I created this space to get really uncomfortable. And in this case, I pushed myself vulnerably to do something that I wasn't comfortable doing. In fact, if you go back to my original video per day experiment monologue, you'll see that the first video, I had my sunglasses on, I was short of breath, I was shaking, I was uncomfortable. But what was the worst that was gonna happen? In that case, the worst that was gonna happen was I made a silly video of myself and I put it on the internet, and alas, there it was. Nobody died. Nobody's taxes weren't paid on time. Nobody lost their job. It was minimal consequences, but still felt scary and risky in all three of those cases. And I learned new things that I now apply to other areas of my life. When we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone, we experience the consequences of doing so. And in turn, we build up our techniques, our tools in our tool belt, our tolerance for that discomfort, and then we can apply them to things where there's greater consequences. So if you don't believe me just yet, let me share with you 3 reasons I think it's wise to intentionally do hard things. Intentionally put on that discomfort and make yourself squirm. The first one is you'll prevent boredom. Yeah, prevent boredom. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about the Goldilocks rule, which means that doing something that's not too hard, not too easy, but just right, prevents boredom. And that just right is on the edge of our comfort zone. In fact, it's just outside of that comfort zone. That's where we are least likely to experience boredom. We're more likely to continue to be motivated and engaged. And it's a spot that James Clear really says that that's where we can do our best work and be our best selves. The second one is to learn new things, learn new skills, learn new techniques, learn about something new, and importantly, learn something about yourself. In those spots of discomfort or vulnerability or doing something really hard, you certainly learn things about yourself and how you handle that if you're open to those lessons. So I encourage you to be really, really aware of how you're navigating that discomfort, and you'll learn things about yourself. And the third one is the opportunity to work on the skills, sharpen the tools, and tuck them into your tool belt so that you can use them in other areas of your life. That you can use them at times when it's really important for you to show up and to perform and to be successful. So try it on. Put on that jacket of discomfort, do something really hard, intentionally create the space to show up differently and do something different, and see how that feels, and see what you learn about yourself and what skills you can develop. And then at times when the consequences are greater, you'll be ready and you will more likely be set up for success.